He convinces his wife that she's getting crazy, right? And she believes him. And so this manipulation is called gaslighting, because in the movie he does a lot of other things too. Like, he compares her to the maid, like trying to say that the maid looks better than her by complimenting the maid and not complimenting her. He just does a lot of stupid shit, right? And so in this conversation that we've been having, hello YouTube and Instagram, we tackle some of the anecdotal or the examples in my own personal life that I've experienced in some relationships that I have had in the past, not in my marriage, well, probably in my marriage, but I'm more equipped to deal with that right now than I was when I was much younger. And so we start to divulge into, like, what are some of the things to look for, right? My daughter's shaking her hair like, ah. So the number one thing to look for, hey Ines, what's up? You can't find the oil? What? Yeah, it's in a little jar. It's in this bathroom right here. Or maybe it's in the bathroom, in the bathroom where we shower.
Yeah, I looked. It's not there.
Then it's in here.
I also looked in here.
In the cabin? Are you sure? She didn't look, guys. She did not look.
You told me bathroom.
I told you nothing. So anyways, number one, before I can even start, I was like, the number one thing is, have you seen, okay, so the number one thing is, not in any particular order, of course, but one of the things you want to look out for is, feeling like you have to have receipts, right? Now, this is a modern term phrase used for feeling like, okay, every time I talk to this person, I have to have proof of what was being said, because maybe that person might say they never said that, right? Something. And so that was one of the things that I had to start to pay attention to, because I would get into these conversations with this person, and then they would say they didn't say that, or they didn't say it like that, or they didn't mean what it is they said. So that for me is kind of like a red flag. The second one would then be, for me personally, feeling like there is some sort of like alternative reality that this person has created, right? So you got to be constantly asking yourself, is this really happening, or am I getting crazy? Like, what's really going on here? If you feel like you got to have that conversation with yourself or with the person all the time to figure out whether or not something is going on that is serious, then that might be something that can be also another red flag. If you bring your concerns, a third thing is, if you bring your concerns to the person, and they may imply in a certain way that, oh, you're so petty, or this, my God, it's not that big a deal, or come on, bisschen unter, or relax, if you say, I don't like such and such a thing, and then they tell you, like, it's not that big a deal, that's called minimalizing. And minimalizing is one of the ways that a gaslighter might make less of how you feel. So if you feel really bad about something, they might want to try to like talk you down, to the point where you're questioning if you really feel the way you feel. I mean, you're supposed to know how you feel. And if you feel a certain way and a person is telling you that you shouldn't, or you don't feel that way, you're just being melodramatic or overreacting, then that is, for me, one of the triggering signs of a gaslighter. And the man does a lot of this stuff in the movie, and don't want to spoil it for you, but at the end of the day, she ends up getting some help from a police officer who's investigating her husband. And, everything ends well, sort of. But this terminology and this style of interaction is, I think, one of the more damaging ways that emotional abuse takes place. And so in my conversation on Patreon, which I will give the link when I am done with this video down below, I talk in more detail about how I contributed in my last episode to my own gaslighting. And I think a lot of people were like, why did you do that? Like, why did you lie? Like, what's the reason for the lying in relationships? One of the things I would say in my experience, why I find or found myself lying, because I've moved past that. I had to do a lot of emotional growth and a lot of maturity out of lying because it just doesn't work. I mean, some people lie for their whole lives about big things, small things, little things, But I find that lying, when you figure out why you lie, so first of all, understanding what the lie is. The lie is either the omission or the changing of the reality of the facts of how you feel or how something happened. And the reason why I didn't tell my reality or my fact or my truth, I made something else up or I left something out. Remember, I talked about like having a kid and not really giving that information up front. Like my ex had to like find that out later on. There is a certain amount of shame and guilt attached to the reason why you don't, like some people say, oh, I didn't give that information because then that would be TMI. That's too much information. But in that case, there is no such thing as too much information. There is the relevant facts of what a person needs to know that you have to use your discretion in volunteering that information. And you also have to understand that you're getting to know people around you, and people can discern, figure out, think about who you are based on what it is you tell them. And everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. So when you choose to not tell someone important or something important about yourself, like I have a child, then there is a reason for that. And the reason I didn't do that in the beginning was because there was shame attached to it that I was lying to myself about not wanting to share. See what I'm saying? So I was ashamed, so I didn't tell. And if I had admitted to myself that I was ashamed or embarrassed or felt some kind of way about being a single mom that wasn't married, then that would have been the start of being able to be honest to myself first, which would have then allowed me to be honest with the people around me then later, and let the chips fall where they may. That's going to be my phrase. Your hair is like so long. It's beautiful. Yeah. Let's show. I'm just kidding. And so, that's like important, right? So when you're able to say, hey, this is my reality. This is what I'm really dealing with. This is what's important to me. This is what I'm afraid of. This is what I'm ashamed of. Then you relieve yourself of some of that burden. And you can actually begin to live authentically, which is what everybody wants. Authentic living is what I teach. Like living in your truth and living in honesty with yourself about the things that you have done and have not been able to accomplish helps you to be able to unpack what's possible. And when you figure out what's possible, or at least what it is that's bothering you, then you can do something about it. But if you're busy lying, and there's so many degrees and different ways that people lie to themselves and to each other, when you're able to start to do that, then you can actually get where you want to be. And so that was the first big one. And then the second big one in the lying was the omission, right? We're not going to even address what's wrong because I rather pretend, because in the pretending, there is some level of security and comfort. The problem with pretending is that you always seem to find your way back where you started, which says, okay, that pretending only works for a temporary amount of time before you're caught up. Right. And I don't know if some of my English students are here. I don't know if you guys remember that story that I made you guys listen to called The Emperor's Clothes. Right? You can't have authentic interaction, which everybody, so authentic interaction has to do with connecting with each other, friends, wives, husbands, co-workers, It has to do with connecting with each other in a real, intimate, genuine, true way and space. And when you're not authentic, so we talk a lot about the Johari window, but I'm not going to get into that. I just want to stick to being authentic, because when you're disingenuous or non authentic, you're not being your real self. When you're not being your real self, you can't really connect with the people in a way that matters the most to you and to them, because you're holding something back. When you're not able to do that, then everything is fake. And there's a level of loneliness and emptiness within everyone participating in this inauthentic interaction that makes people just depressed. You know, you don't have that level of intimacy that people desire as a part of communities, because you're all lying to each other and you're lying to yourself. So when you can honestly say, hey, look, this is my issue, and this is my issue with you, or this is the issue that I have, that I carry, then people can look at you in an authentic way. They may judge you, but you are already judging yourself, because you have not really honestly admitted to yourself and those around you what the elephant in the room is. The elephant in the room can be, you know, your weight, or I say weight because this is one of the new hi Miss Bram. This is one of the new crazes, right? Body positivity. But the thing about being authentic is that you can be honest with those around you, and those around you can be honest with you. And when you operate in such a fashion, you have genuine respect, love, and honor for each other. Because when somebody speaks and they're sharing their feedback with you about who you are and about who they are, you can really listen and trust that they're telling you the truth. But if a person lies to you and to themselves about what the interaction is, then you can't trust them, they can't trust you, and everything seems to have does not have a foundation that anyone can rely on. When you can't rely on that foundation, then you don't, what is there? What is there to say that our interaction is at its best? There is nothing to say that. Therefore, that means that the interaction is fake. We can't trust it. And every person is for themselves. And therefore, that means that there is no such thing as community. For those of you who have seen what has happened in the past year and a half or 2 years with the pandemic, we know we can't even trust our media, our government, the people that are supposed to be making these big decisions on our behalf, because of this kind of conversation of lack of authenticity. And I don't really honestly believe that it's so much that people are so corrupt and that everything is just so bad, and everyone that has money just wants more and wants to keep everyone down and depressed and oppressed. But I just feel like when we prioritize ourselves over our communities, and we don't understand that we are parts of a whole, then we lack the ability to see how solidarity is for the greater good of everyone, and how helping each other can actually help ourselves. And that would be then gaslighting on the I know I kind of went and down the rabbit hole. Goodbye, behind that. I'll see you later. I know I kind of went in a very different direction, but back to the gaslighting experience. This is how you can see this happening in your everyday, based on these simple emotional abusive systematic behaviors that we have become so accustomed to. And how I was able to get out of it was having the strength and the courage to actually say, well, hang on a second. And that takes strength, courage, and a lot of time, which I talk about in the third episode, is why most of us don't even do the work, because it's just too daunting. You think about, I have to now stop this relationship that I've been in my case, for 4, 5, 6 years, on and off again, and really look at, is there anything else? And don't get me wrong, I'm not some saint. There was honestly a time in my relationship where I truly believed that there was nothing better out there for me, and I'd rather just stay and be whatever to this person whenever he wants to be with me, than actually picking up the little pieces of my life and moving on and trying to find something else. So when I did that, there was a lot of grace and a lot of blessing that came out of that. And I feel really, I don't want to say lucky. I feel really proud of the fact that I was able to bring myself to the place to stick with the work that needs to be done. That would help me to get the relationship I could actually enjoy. But that required, on my part, a lot of true, hard, for some of you who know me personally, difficult conversations with myself. I see some people here who've known me while I was still in that space, and struggling a lot, because there was lots and lots and lots of elements and corners and spaces of my life that I didn't want to look at, that said, hey, this is an issue. This is going to keep you in therapy. You need therapy. And without it, you're not going to really progress. What happens then, from my experience and from the experience of the women that I've actually talked to who are trying to get at that place where they can be the wife, and I know that's not something for everyone. I will not talk about that in this video. But getting to the space where you can be in a relationship that is, kind of actually boring, right? Like nothing's happening, everyone's happy, you sit in your bed and read your book while he cleans his car. I mean, to get to that space, where there's not always this drama and this figuring out of, does he love me? Does he love me not? I mean, is everything okay? To get to that space, there has to be a level of peace within yourself. To get to the level of peace within yourself, you have to push past all the shit in order to take that shit and throw it in the trash and become a whole, wonderful, great human being. And that space, so how do we get to that space, right? How do we unpack? I talk about admitting honestly what it is your contribution was to your own demise. Because a lot of the times as victims, we like to stay in the place of victimhood and say, oh, it was my fault, I mean, it was my partner's fault, and he's so mean, and he said this and he did that. And I actually, hey guys, this is Apollonia. She'll be not joining us. Yeah, she's waving her hand, but they can't see you in both cameras in any case. So to get to that place to say, okay, I'm not just a victim. I have contributed to this, to my own demise. And a lot of people are like I had a conversation actually with a client of mine a long time ago, right? And she was the survivor of some family abuse, right? Her mom was a little special, and the father was also very special, and it was and so she said to me, when I said to her, this is your fault, she was like, so you're telling me that I deserve the abuse? And I was just like, it was the first time that somebody had pushed back in a session like that for me, right? And I was just like, wow, like that's cruel. I can't believe I said that to her. You know what I'm saying? Like that's mean. I shouldn't have said that, because but then when I thought about it some more, okay, when she was a child, this is when the abuse happened, right? But she's not a child anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, she's now an adult who took initiative in her own life, went to therapy, and I want to talk about therapy as a separate conversation, but I'll just say that you have to be very careful as to who your therapist is. Hey girl, hey cuz. Because sometimes you can get really bad advice from your therapist. So I would, look, depending on what it is you're looking for and what it is you want to get resolved with. My therapist specializes in childhood trauma and abuse, and because that's what That's what I am a survivor of. But my client was still seeing herself from the perspective of a victim and not a survivor. And I think that when you think like that, it creates a blockage where you're still the child that was being abused. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's not an adult who went to therapy, who got the help. She's still, I was being abused. You say it's my fault. One of my earlier therapists had said to me something like this, which was hardcore. I wanted to write it down. She said to me, if you don't have a woman, you know, as a young girl, you have instincts from very early on, from I would say 3 years old up, that tells you, okay, this is danger. You know, this is a danger zone. You don't want to be in this safe situation in the space. Everybody has that instinct. Some of us lack it, but there are people around you for the most part who say, you know what? Don't go to so and so's house, or this is what bad touch, good touch is. You don't go sitting on men's laps, or they have people, women say these things to you as older women for a reason. And you as your 5-year-old self, 4-year-old self, you don't really know why. And you're always like you come to me like, I don't know why you always be like, I can't be on the street on my bicycle. Like, somebody always got to be watching me. Like, why? I was being told that too as a kid, but I didn't understand. Oh my God, your hair looks so amazing. I was being told that a lot as a kid, and I never understood why, but I was obedient because I could understand on some level why. And so, when she was telling me the story about the abuse and stuff, and I was just like, well, if you want to stay in that place, then that's your choice. It wasn't my choice to be abused. That says a lot about how much growth is possible, because you got to make a choice as an adult who is full capable of their own functions and abilities and life, to say enough is enough, right? I'm not that scared, hurt little girl anymore. I'm not that scared, hurt little boy anymore. This is the honesty that needs to take place. I made some bad decisions because I didn't know better, which was the case in my case. Like, I didn't know better. Nobody sat me down in that way, but that's nobody's fault. We have a saying in Belize, it goes, who can't learn has to feel. And sometimes the feeling is a harsh and tough feeling, but who would I be had I not had that experience to share what it is I know about these kinds of situations? So I'm not saying it was great that happened, but it happened in order for me to be way more vested in teaching people how to take responsibility for their own lives. And that's, for me, comes with honesty. So the theme today, I would say, is honesty, right? You're supposed to be my back push. You're supposed to be like asking me questions and saying stuff, so I don't feel like I'm just here talking to myself. Yeah, so you guys can call in if you want. I don't know if I can. Can I call in? Can I have people call in?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm on live on YouTube, not on YouTube, but on Instagram, and then I have my YouTube running. So I'm assuming that people can call. So people can call me on Instagram when I'm on live, and we can be live together.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm saying to the people who are listening that they can call me. Call me when you want. Call me when you.
They can like request.
Oh, I didn't know.
Live.
I am not that young. I know I look it, but.
That's how it is on Instagram. I don't know if it's the same on Facebook.
I'm not on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. So, anyways, guys. So, okay. Well, we will. This is only the fourth one. This is only the fourth broadcast. I know we were supposed to be doing this broadcast every Sunday, Friday, and Monday, but your girl had her first ailment in 4 years, and I couldn't move. If you guys watch my last live, I look like I was literally recording from my hospital bed. I was in this bed. Yes?
Why is it salty?
Because it's with brimstone. Fire and brimstone! And it's for my feet. Your feet are soft. You don't need that. 9. And it's for washing your feet, not for lotioning. So, guys, that is That is
I need to wash my feet.
not right now though. That is one of the major parts of the gaslighting, right? Is to understand that you have the power, you have the control, and we talked about loving. Like, what if I'm in love and he treats me this way sometime? You find love funny? You think that's a game? Girl. Hey, my bear! Oh my god! So, go get a towel. You made a mess. You made a mess. So, the thing about the gaslighting is that people have been using that phrase a lot. They've been using that phrase a lot. It's like in style now. Gaslighting as a phrase of emotional abuse is like, oh my gosh, are you gaslighting me? And I just want people to really be clear, especially if your parent is the gaslighter. Do you think I gaslight you?
I still don't understand what that means.
Gaslighting is when you make a person feel like they are crazy. You know, that they have to question their sense of reality and their
If you do that,
of
course.
Wow, that's cold as ice. Okay, time to self-reflect. Thought you were gonna say like, nah, mom, we cool. You're very direct and honest with me. Do I compare you to other people?
Yeah.
When? See, you can't trust your kids. She's like, yeah.
Not anymore.
Exactly. But in any case, it is a big thing that you feel like you gotta be making sure that you are sure that the person is telling the truth by keeping score of the conversations that you have with them, for example. Or you feel like every time you tell them that you don't like something, they say, oh my gosh, you're so petty, or you're so sensitive, or blah, 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 like stuff like this, like trying to minimize what you're saying.
Yeah.
I do that?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Not with y'all. Anytime y'all scream, I'm like, what wrong? What happened? Are you okay? Or if somebody do something with you at school, I'm the first one there. I talk about my picnic. What of them my picnic? Yeah, I know I don't. Because I'm that mom. I am that mom. Anyways, so me and this guy, we broke up for now like the 100th time. And when my mom came back to Belize and she tried to like advise me on this relationship, I wasn't sure if I wanted to. Honestly, I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue the relationship. I was just so exhausted. I felt like there was no help for me, like my life is over. Maybe it's just being an August baby or something. I just love really hard. I don't know, but I acted stupidly, That's why I encourage people who accepting that you contribute to your own abuse is hard, y'all. Okay. When I tell people, yeah, man, just walk away, I understand it's not easy. Like I said, I was with this person for 6 years and it went nowhere. When I finally decided that, okay, I'd rather just be by myself than be with this stupid person, I had done a lot. It wasn't just because this guy was mean, He probably did what he did to defend himself. It probably wasn't as deep as I think it was. Maybe it's just me fantasizing about him being something to me that he probably wasn't, because I was so busy lying my ass off and explaining his behavior that I never really took the chance to see that he wasn't really into me like that, You know what I mean? In any case, oh God, your father's coming. Close the door. He can't hear none of this. Close the door, abort. I love you. So, any case, Apollonia, mommy's at work. We talked about this. So when it was Schluss, like richtig Schluss, like I just said, all right, hey Felix, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while, cause When it was finally shown, oh my gosh. Some people in here know the situation. Y'all will go back and tell him, because I will tell you that you lie. I could be talking about anybody, because this became a habit. I got into the habit of picking a certain type of person that would treat me in this type of way. So by the fourth, fifth, sixth time, I had to admit, you know what? I need to start to do things differently in my life. Okay, so let's get into the self-help, because the book and all its glorious details will be available on Patreon and for print on Amazon very soon. So y'all can go pick that up and spend your little coins to find out all of the juicy details about that. But the actual processing, I went first on this like retreat, right? I went on the silent retreat, got a babysitter for a week, and I went on the silent retreat down south and started to just listen to my heart. Like, how did my heart break? Where it all started. And what came up for me was that my father was never there. So my stepfather passed away when I was 11 years old, suddenly. And the details of his death anniversary yesterday, and I didn't even realize when I was bawling on the kitchen floor yesterday why that was. It was because it was the death of the anniversary death of my stepfather. The only person besides my grandfather who I can call a father figure. He passed away suddenly when I was 11 years old, and that was the year that the abuse took place and a whole lot of other drama in my life. And so, long story short, I ended up at my grandparents, and I'm thinking, my dad, my biological father, is going to come and get me. And he never did. Like, never. He came once to pick up my report card because maybe somebody had told him, you need to come check this kid out. She's stressing my mother out.
So he was living in Belize?
He was living in Belize City, and I was in San Ignacio. And I was with my grandparents for, I think maybe 2 years. And in those 2 years, I saw him once. And I mean, at 11, 10, you don't really realize, like, yo, I'm a kid that their own parent doesn't want. Like, you don't realize that in the frontal cortex of your brain, but it's in there. It's like, I'm nothing and I mean nothing to no one. So if I want to be something to somebody, I have to make something up or create a situation that says that I'm worthy and valuable and worthy of love. And so, where was I going with this? So when he passed away, my dad didn't come around. That was the beginning of understanding that, of the lying, right? I started to develop this persona, and I'm not talking like some Carrie shit, like starting to move the desk around, like, getting into witchcraft and Ouija boards. It wasn't like that. It was just like, I became very, very angry. Very angry. All the time. And I started to act out. And so by the time we moved in with my mom, when my mom finally got herself together, because, she just lost her husband. And she has to figure out how to take care of 5 children by herself. And I was just like, I don't want any part of this love business, because people die and leave you unexpectedly. And that created so much anxiety. It's part of the reason why I went into therapy, because when I had my second child, I would wake up in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock, unequivocally, every night, like, I'm going to die. Or my husband's going to die and leave me with these children by myself, And I didn't know where it was coming from. And it might seem obvious now because I speak it so eloquently, but that was the beginning of that spiraling, right? Feeling exposed at a very young age and not having things explained to you in such a way, and the people who are there to protect you not being there, causes immense trauma. And it is your responsibility, when you have the presence of mind enough. You might be saying to yourself right now, there's something wrong with me and I don't know what that something is. it is your responsibility to go find out what that something is, because abuse is not a way of interacting with people around you, and it is not an option. And if it hurts, then there is something you can do about it. And the first thing you can do is detach yourself from the people who are not worthy or expressing worthy love, who are not expressing the proper kind of love that everybody desires. And the only way to change that is to start with yourself. So, I would say at this point, I've been speaking for 35 minutes.
I have a surprise from the refrigerator
Krombacher.
Krombacher.
I can't. Krombacher.
Yeah.
That's way off. Yeah, I mean, not everybody, nobody's normal. I wouldn't say that anybody has like a perfect life or a perfect childhood. Everybody has like their little story that they may or may not want to admit, but I think that especially in the communities back home, we don't give enough. Can anybody answer this question? Are there any therapists in Belize? I know I see some people here from Belize in the chat. Can y'all tell me if there are therapists in Belize, like counselors, people who can advise you on how to deal with some of the crap that we've experienced as children and people? Let me know.
Like a fortune.
Huh?
It must cost like a fortune.
I don't know if it would cost a fortune. I mean, you're doing there should be like public service, like psychological nurses, like public psych nurses, something like this.
We're talking about Belize.
I mean, I've actually worked at the psych hospital in Belize, and a couple of times. I don't know why I did that. I think I was doing my
What thing? What hospital?
The psych ward. I worked there, like the public psych ward. It's like on the way towards. It's going towards the just past the zoo, I think. I don't know why I ended up there. Oh my god, that was the worst experience of my life. I don't know why I did that.
How old were you?
I was already grown. I had already had you, but I think I wanted to study psychology because it was the only alternative.
So you were like at a mental hospital?
I wasn't there like as a patient. I was there as a volunteer.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Like, why did I do that? I think it was because I had to get a psych hours for my psychology degree, and it was a part of the agreement of the psych degree.
Oh my god.
But that was... I mean, not because... You know what? I take that back. It was very interesting. But I was really like afraid, because sometimes they have people there who act out violent, and they're understaffed. That was the thing. They were understaffed, and
you had to help.
I wanted to help, and I was hoping that if I did the work, that they would give me a scholarship to study psychology, which is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to study neurology, which is a sort of a spin-off. You have to have psych hours for neurology. I was just going to figure that out later on down the line. But, it all worked out in the end. I ended up being a life coach. So if you guys want to book a session to get into more details as to how you can overcome some of the traumas, if you have any, or if you just want to level up your life, please message me on Facebook or Instagram. And I will see you guys again next time. I think our next live will be on Monday. If you guys have any questions, you want to prepare, we usually air around this time. So whatever time it is in whatever neck of the woods you are in, this is the time that we usually start. And so our next topic will be rites of passage. Today's topic was lying, right? I would say we were talking about lying, the real reason for pathological lying, and how to... Oh, I forgot to cover how I ended up getting out of pathological lying. I got caught like in a big way. That story is juicy as F. Ooh, Lord have mercy. But if you want to check that one out, that anecdote will be available only on Patreon. I know, I'm sorry, but you know, the people involved in these stories are gonna come for me. So I want to limit the access to that. So I don't think my Patreon membership charges more than $5 per month or something like that. So it's not egregious. The prices are not outrageous. But if you guys want to check that out, I will link it in the description box in my YouTube and Instagram. And so I will see you guys again next time. Thank you so much for joining me, and peace out. Bye. Corbin, my man. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm still on that dumb shit. Oh, I'm still on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Why are you making that face at me?
What?
Why are you doing your hair in my bed? I just made my bed.